Hi, this is Priscilla Wicker, and we're going to go over the catalog project. This is 05G in Chapter 5. And this file is mostly done for us. We can either open up the template or open up the InDesign file that's supplied in the student resources, and you can see that a lot of it's built, and what we're going to do is change some text to a table and then manipulate that table. Just get some more good practice on building and working with tables. So I've opened up the document, and it says here that there are two layers in this project, and if you accidentally, let's just click on something in here, if you accidentally get this dialog box about the active layers hidden, just cancel that and then click in the table area. And that's this, starting with this text box right here. And we're going to talk about layers and later on in chapter 7, but for the time being just ignore that, hit cancel, and then click in the tables area of this project. I'm going to zoom in here so I can see this a little bit better, because this is the area I'm going to want to work with right here. And I'm looking at step 2, and it says all the frames of the table are threaded. That way I can do select all to get everything. So I have my type insertion here. I'm just going to do Command A to select all, and then I'm going to go under Table and convert text to table. And then it gives me some options here. And I'm just going to use the default options. Again, I'm just looking at step 2 now. It says accept the default settings. So we're going to have column separators as tabs and row separators as paragraphs. So I'll just say OK. And then I want to adjust my text boxes so that the information that goes together is together. So let's look at the final project. You can look at your student handout and you can see what the final project looks like. And this first table, we zoom in again here, it should have 3 items. So what I'm going to do is just open up my text box here. So I'm going to open up this text box that the first table is in until this next item can come up. Okay, so I'm going to be formatting this and changing things around, but what I want to do is kind of pay attention to what is in each one of these tables. The second table should have 3 items, martini, water, and parfait. So we need to take this text box and close it a little bit to get that photo album down into the table that has to do with photo albums. And that one has 3 items, and the last bath towel, hand towel, washcloth. That okay. So we have the right information in the correct tables now. Okay, so then it says on step 3, select the entire table and enter a 0 in the stroke field. So go back to the type tool because I want to work with the table. I'm going to go up here to the top left corner of the top table. I get that diagonal arrow, and if I click, I get the entire table. Let me zoom out here so you can see I've got the entire table selected. And then what I want to do is I want to change the stroke between each cell to 0. I want to make sure that each one of these lines is highlighted in blue. That means when I change it, all of these lines will change. So it's at 1 point, and change that to 0. And now if I look at my, let's look back at the table, we'll zoom in so we can see this. And I'm going to look at it under preview mode. Okay, so I have no lines between the cells. Let's go back to normal. And that was step 3. So step 4, it says select the top row of the first table. So back to the type tool because I'm working with the table. I'm going to click on that top row and refer to the sample on the previous page and modify the width of the columns, the cell colors, and the type colors. Okay, so what I need to look at now is the colors here on my handout and the width of these columns. So the name is a lot wider, and so the price is a lot more narrow. And you'll notice the colors here. So with this one highlighted, let's go ahead and change the background color on that one to green. So here's my background color. I'm going to do the little drop down menu here and select that green. And then I'm going to click over here to type, formatting effects type. And that one looks like it's that rust color. So let's just roll down here. I'm doing that on that entire row. Okay, so that was easy enough. Then we have these cells right here that have a background color of gold. So let's go ahead and just, there's no way to click from the top and get that because this top row is different. So I just clicked and dragged or drug to get those three cells. And I'm going to change the background color on those to gold. Make sure I'm working with the background color here. And then finally, let's go to this last column here, and I'm going to click that entire column. Notice that that gets, let me zoom it out on this, it gets the whole column, gets everything for the whole table. Isn't that cool? And on this one, the background color is red, and then the color of the type is gold. So let's go to our background color. It says question mark here because of the selected items, part was green and part was gold. So if it's more than one color, then we'll see a question mark. It doesn't know what it is. That's true for color or for fonts or point size. Anything, if there's more than one selected, it'll just give you a question mark or it'll be blank. Okay, let's go and change that background to the Pantone color, and we want to change the type on that one to gold. I think we're done on that. You know, one other thing on this last column is that the type is, let me select that one again. Okay, the type on this is bold condensed, so I think I'm jumping ahead a couple steps there. No, it says the cell column, I'm on step 4, is 12 point bold. So let's just change this to 12 point, and this should be bold. All right, and okay, looks kind of like the example, but let's take a look at it. And I'm going to zoom in, just kind of look at it and see if I'm doing okay so far with the colors and so on. Does it look like the sample? You know, I'm thinking when I change the type on this last column, it should be bold condensed. So let's change that to, it says bold, but it looks like in my example it's more like bold condensed, so I'm going to change that back. All right, yeah, it looks like that last column is also center aligned, so while I have it selected, I can just go center align that one. And I want to do that to all of these. I want to check each one of them and just change it so it matches the layout. So it looks like the product name is left align, and maybe the names here, they look like, you know, I think they're all left aligned, so I'm just going to leave that one. And let's go back up here to the top. And it says modify the width of the columns and the cell colors and the type. So I've got the color. Let's look at the width of these. And if we look at the example, this is supposed to be wider so all the words can fit on one line. So let's go ahead and change this. This row right here can be narrower. Now if I want to change it without changing the size of the table, remember to hold down the shift key and click and drag. Okay, so I can make that first row narrower, and then I'm going to make this second row wider. I'm going to hold down the shift key down again so that when I reduce the size of that, I'm going to reduce the size of this. So I'm holding the shift key down, so when I reduce the size, it doesn't make the table any wider. It just works within the width of the table and changes the width of those columns. pay more attention than I'm doing so that you will make all of this absolutely perfect. I'm doing it kind of quickly. Okay, it looks like as I change things around, this item came up to the table above it. So let's go ahead. I'm in my type tool now. I'm going to hold my command key down and just change the size of that text box. All right. And so I should have 3 items in the second table, 3 items in the fourth table. Looks like bath towels came up. So let's fix that and get the right items into the right table. And I'm not going to go through changing all these colors. You guys can do that. But there's one more thing I want to do, and that is to change this to a header. Now, if I define it as a header and select it, then I can apply it to all of these other tables, which is a real fast, efficient, cool way to work. So I have it selected, and it says to use the contextual menu. So it's formatted correctly. And using contextual menu, that is just holding my control key down and clicking on here. Oop, I accidentally let go. So I'm holding my control key. If you're a PC person, that's going to be a right click. And then what I want to do on this is go to Table Options, Headers and Footers. I'm sorry. I want to go to Convert to Header Rows. Okay, did you see how cool that was? It says contextual menu, convert to header rows, and it put that header formatted exactly the same at the top of each one of these. Was that cool or what? Now, if for some reason that didn't work, you can always go to Table and Table Options, and then go to the Headers and Footers, and under Header Rows, you can say Repeat, and change this one to have 1 per frame, and that would make it appear at the top of each table. So if it didn't work doing the contextual keyboard shortcut in step 4, then go ahead and do it a little bit longer way, going through the menu. It says fine-tune the project. So I'll have you look at it with your fine-tooth comb and make sure that everything is looking just exactly right, the formatting and the width, the alignment of everything, and the colors. And then what we'll want to do, it says, notice that you can highlight and change attributes of the specific column in all the frames at once. We did that on that last column. For the final step, select the entire table and use the table controls to change the depth of all rows to exactly 0.25. So let's do that. Let me show you that one. So again, we want the entire table. So I'm going to come up here to the top and get that little arrow that goes like that, diagonal. I'm going to select that. Selects the entire table. And then what I want to do is go to Table and Table Options, Cell Options, and go to Rows and Columns, and then it says Row Height at least. I'm going to say exactly, and then change this amount to 0.25 inches, and then say OK, and boom. It's going to make each one of these exactly 0.25 inches. I hope this has been helpful. Please contact your instructor if you have any questions.